Happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Pageant Sit Down. I am Regina Lena, your host, and I am so excited for all of you to be with us today. I do have a very special guest. I find that her and I do have a bit in common when it comes to our pageant experience. She is none other than Catherine Cortes, your Ms. Belleza Latina International 2022. Hi, Catherine.
Hi, Regine. Hi, everyone. I am so excited to be here. I am such a big fan of the Pageant Sit Down. I was just telling Regine how I commute to my job for an hour, and that's what I listen to on my way to work.
Oh my God, stop. Okay. Well, first off, Catherine, like I mentioned, you and I do have some similarities in our pageant career, but there are some people who don't know who you are. Do you mind telling our viewers a little bit about yourself?
Yes. So I started competing in pageants back in 2014. It was actually after I was already married and had my son. Actually, the first pageant I competed in was Miss Connecticut Belleza Latina, and it was actually on my son's birthday. But yeah, that was my very first pageant. At that moment, not only did I get bit by the pageant bug, I got bit by the Belleza Latina pageant bug. So every move that I made moving forward for the past 7 years have been to obtain this ultimate goal of becoming the Miss Belleza Latina International title holder. I've been married to my husband for 10 years. We've been together for going on 17 years in January. We have 2 kids, a son and a daughter, and 2 fur babies. And yeah.
Wow, okay, so was BL okay, how do I pronounce it correctly? I know I butchered it. I tried my best.
No, I think you actually did a really good job.
Okay, so Belleza Latina.
Belleza Latina, yeah.
Belleza. So it's kind of like J and a Z.
Yes.
Or Z, you're American, sorry. Okay, so I'm like, how do I pronounce it? Okay, perfect. So BL for short, because some people know it as BL. Yes. That's the only pageant system that you've ever competed in?
So I've competed at the state level when BL had the state pageants, and then I also did compete in another international pageant. I competed in International Ms, where that was a pageant where I actually competed, and I met Crystal Cavey in person for the first time, and she was like, "You need to go and do BL," and I was like, "I am working towards that." And then I competed back in 2019 before COVID at the international level, and was supposed to compete again the following year, but COVID hit and got to compete at nationals this past August.
I love that. So you were first runner-up the previous year, correct?
Yes, I was.
So what was it like? Because I know for myself, when I did Canada Galaxy, I competed in 2009 for the 2019 year. I was also first runner-up. What was it like for you at that final moment when you realized, oh my goodness, here we go again?
So like at that moment when I got announced first runner-up, like believe it or not, I had the feeling that it wasn't my time yet. So I was at peace. Beatrice was actually one of my roommates that year that we competed together. We were roommates with a whole bunch of other girls. We call ourselves the Villa Queens because, but we wanted it to be, either one of us. We're like, hopefully it's one of us, because we're both very passionate about the system. And we knew that if it were between her and myself, either one of us would do an amazing job with the title. So at the moment when we were up there, I was like, Beatrice, this is your time. And it was her time. And I was just really happy for her. But I knew right away that the following day when we went to the Galaxy International Finals, that was my first appearance as Miss Connecticut Belleza Latina 2020, because I knew I was already going to come back.
Wow, I just got goosebumps as you said that. So I guess now Beatrice has done her reign, and what was it like for her to put that crown on your head?
It was like a full circle moment, because that day when she got crowned and we went back into our rooms and we had our cupcakes, we were like, all right, Kathy, next year's your turn. Like next year I'm going to crown you. So it was really, really nice. And she actually wasn't even supposed to be there. She was supposed to be deployed. And so it was really nice that she was able to come home from deployment and be there for that moment.
Yeah, I remember I had her on the show while she was out, overseas, and I'm like, wow, are we actually doing this right now? But it was just so cool to see, she was in her uniform, but she was still also in her sash and showing the best of both worlds. But I'm really grateful and happy that she was able to make it for her final walk.
Yes, I was
because
too.
I can't imagine what that would have been like.
We would joke
But
around that if I were to win, I was like, if you win, then and I'm not going to be there, then we'll plan like a little photo shoot where I'm still crowning you. Like, okay, if you win, we'll figure it out.
And I'm glad that she was there because you won. And the photos of the two of you where you replicated or you did the exact same
Yes.
pose as on stage and off stage, I was like, yes. Like, I was watching the finals, of course, because Team Canada was there for the junior pageant, and then you were also competing. And I'm sure you know this, but as the Team Galaxy Canada girls won, the stream cut off.
Yes.
And so we were all like, oh my gosh, what happened to BL? Like, who won? Like, I need to know. And so when I later found out afterwards, I was like, man, I wish I got to see you win, because I've been following your journey, and I'm so sad that I missed it. But I'm happy that you won.
Thank you. Thank you. My family were saying the same thing because I had my sister-in-law were watching from home. My husband was watching it from home with the kids, and when it cut off, everybody was like, oh my God, what happened? Did she win? Did she not win?
Come on, Cindy, you had one job.
It's okay, Cindy, we still love you.
Exactly. Of course. I mean, she was warning us that her phone was dying.
Yeah.
So, but man, what a night. What was it, I guess, like for you? It is still a pandemic, which is why not everyone was able to make it. What was it like for you competing and having your reign as Connecticut during this pandemic?
It was a little hard when the pandemic first started because, obviously we couldn't really do anything with our titles. And at that moment I was, coaching with Crystal and everything. And she was really good at giving us like ideas of what to do safely, like from home. So I would try to do little things like that where I can, there was a thing that we were able to do where we put a bear on our window, and I took a picture with my daughter and I put my sash on. I was part of this little community group where we would do stuff for the community, and what my family and I ended up doing is we bought like for a family, 4 different families, we bought them board games so they can play with their kids, and then we bought popcorn and candy so they can have like a nice little family night. So we chose 4 families and we drove around and we dropped off, safely and on their doorsteps. So I was still able to do a few things here and there. But also what kind of set me back a little bit was that last year in December, I had an accident where I broke my toe. And
your toe?
Yeah, so I wasn't even able to really practice my walk for almost 6 months. Yeah, and it was like maybe 2 or 3 months before nationals where I was finally able to wear heels and start walking and stuff like that. So not only was it like the pandemic, there was also that. And I was just like, you know what? It's okay. Everything happens for a reason. And if it's for me, it'll all work out at the end.
That's okay. But okay, your toes. How did you... I guess it's better than breaking your foot, right? At least you're still able to walk. You didn't have to go through as much physio to get you back walking, because that would have been a whole other story.
Yeah. That was a little bit of a stressful moment too, where I'm like, I'm not sure if I can even wear heels for the pageant. But luckily I was able to practice and I was able to walk in them just fine. I mean, I still have a little bit of PTSD with my toe. Like, I haven't even done a lunge yet. I have not even tried to do a lunge because I'm scared to do something to my toe.
No, that's completely fair. Oh my gosh, what a experience. But you know what? Toes and all, you made it. You competed on stage. You had your chance at the white party, the PJ party. Oh my God, those photos. Can I just say, Maria gave us all such bad FOMO. Like Danielle and I were FaceTiming when we were watching you all compete, and I'm like, oh, I wish I was there.
We would have loved to have all of you guys there, but I'm really excited that I get to go back next year and I get to see all of you guys next year. So I'm really excited about that.
Exactly. That's very true. I can't wait. You know, I've been following your journey, as I said. I love that you made your comeback. This is a dream of yours to have this title, and now you have it. So my question to you then is, what are your plans with your title?
So my plans with my title are to just continue serving my community, my Latino community, and do as much as I can, kind of outside. You know, now we're kind of able to do more. So I would love to see if I can do a little bit of traveling with the title, you know, safely. I am planning on going to Wisconsin in January. I might be going to Puerto Rico in April of next year.
Wow.
So just do what I can to just serve my community wherever I get the opportunity to go.
That's amazing. And I've seen that you had the opportunity to already make in-person appearances and MC at different events. What is it like going into your community with I remember my first appearance. What was it like with your international title, going to your first appearance and just taking pictures with everyone?
It's kind of still unreal. And even for me, like right now, it's to say that I'm Miss Belleza Latina International is a little unreal. And then when you have other people that are like, oh my God, wow, you know, congratulations. It's just like, oh my God, thank you, you know, they don't really know like the hard work and like behind the scenes of what it took me to get here. So it's just like, it's very humbling, and it's just very nice when people like compliment you and stuff like that, and then they invite you to do events. You know, it's awesome.
I love that. So there is a question from Instagram. It says, Happy Hispanic Heritage Month. What are your goals and plans with this month and any activities that you're doing?
Yes, so earlier this month, a few weeks ago, I was actually able to MC a Hispanic pageant, Señorita, Connecticut, New York, and New Jersey. So it was a nice opportunity to do that. I had to speak a lot more Spanish than what I'm used to. And I actually had an interview yesterday for a Spanish or Hispanic-based magazine. So, and that I had to do that interview in Spanish too. So it was a little hard. But
do you speak Spanish fluently, or?
I wouldn't say fluently, but I would say I'm okay at it. I can hold a conversation. But nice. I'm hoping that
more than me.
Now that I have this title and I'm going to be in my Spanish community a lot more, I can use that as practice to help get my Spanish better.
That honestly, you are definitely doing a lot better than I. I can't even say the title of the pageant. Okay, let's try it again. I've got to get it correct. Now that Maria's watching, there's more pressure. So it's Belleza Latina. Belleza. Okay. I'm learning.
You're getting there.
Well, like I said, Maria is here. She says hopefully next year we will be bigger and
yes,
better.
I can't wait. Yes. Hi, Maria.
Hi, Maria. Are you doing some knitting or crocheting while you're watching us? I would love to see her do a crown out of yarn.
Oh, that would be pretty.
That would be, right? Yeah. Just throwing some ideas out there. Another question from Instagram is, what would you like to see done with your... Oh, sorry. I read that question already. The question here is, would you let your daughter compete in pageants?
Yes, that's a big yes. I can't wait to put her in pageants. She has like the personality to do it. She's such a loving, caring person. If she were to walk into this room right now, she would take over this interview. I would just be sitting back here and she's just very personable. And it's so funny because when I was competing for the Belleza Latina title and I was kind of talking about it with my husband and we're talking about competing, she was like, what game are you playing? And I'm like, no, it's a beauty pageant. I'm competing in a pageant. She was like, oh, Mommy, you're going to win. this. And then she was like, and if you don't win, it's okay, because you're going to look beautiful and you're going to have a good time. And I was like, oh, she's ready. She's ready to compete.
So which system would you put her in? BL or Galaxy?
I would like to start her in just something small, just so she can get a taste of it. And if it's something that she really wants to do, I would absolutely love to put her in BL.
Love that. Okay, so my next question to you is, are you going to follow in the steps of Crystal KV, where she competed for and won Ms. Belleza Latina, and then she competed at Galaxy? Are you looking at doing the same thing? Maybe?
Possibly. I mean, maybe. I want to see how this year goes as being, Miss Belleza Latina International, and then kind of go from there. But if I were to compete at Galaxy, it would actually be my first Mrs. pageant, which is something that I've always said I'd like to do in the future. So maybe Galaxy is in the future.
Girl, I said I wanted to do Mrs. Galaxy one day, and then Maria's like, here you go. So careful. Oh, Maria says, I sure am. So she's probably working on Ari's scarf. Sherry Handicrafts, she is from the Philippines. She says, watching from the Philippines, and says, you are very pretty.
Oh, thank you. You're so sweet.
And then we have Scott Dion Brown in the chats. He says, good evening.
Good evening, Scott.
So if anyone watching has any questions for Catherine, be sure to leave them in the comment section below, and I will be sure to ask her. It could be anything related to pageantry, or if you just have any questions for her. Speaking of questions, going back to Instagram, question is, what is something you learned about yourself competing in pageants?
Something that I've learned about myself competing in pageants is, I would have to say about my identity. It is something that I struggle a lot. Honestly, I struggle a lot with comparison, and competing in pageants has taught me to kind of not worry about what's happening around me, but kind of focus on myself. Just, enjoy the moment, because competing in pageants, you kind of have to do that, because if you start comparing yourself to other people, then you're going to stumble. And you have to remember too that everyone has a different story. My story is unique than the girl sitting next to me. So you have to kind of just focus on your strengths and what you can bring to the title.
I love that. It's true. We always find ourselves doing that, but it's great that that's something that you were able to learn from. Janice McGregor says, hey Catherine, good seeing you again. Haven't seen you since International Ms. 2018. You repped Puerto Rico wonderfully. XOXO.
Hi Janice. Yes, her and I, we competed with each other at International Ms. and I had the opportunity to actually meet her in person and have a really good conversation with her. And she knew back then that Belleza Latina was my dream title. So she had wrote me a message not too long ago saying like, oh my God, I remember you telling me that this was your dream title, and look at you now. And yeah.
Honestly, Janice is great. She's been a guest on the show. She's watched every single episode. She's here every week. So she definitely knows a lot about pageantry and everyone around, and she's such a sweetheart. So hi, Janice.
I've been trying to get her to do Canada Galaxy, so hopefully I'll see her on that stage soon.
Me too. I think every time we have someone that knows her from Galaxy is trying to get her.
Yeah.
No pressure, Janice. Well, actually, we are almost at the halfway point, Catherine, which is crazy because the conversation is flying by. But we do have a segment on the show, which is 5 tips from a beauty queen. So what would be your 5 tips for anyone watching us today?
Yes, so I've thought about these 5 tips. The first one I would have to say is every once in a while, just give yourself like a heart check. A lot of the times when we're competing in a pageant, we get so wrapped up in wanting to win that title that we forget why we're doing it to begin with. What is our purpose? What's our why? And when I say, give yourself a heart check is that, kind of like slow down and kind of think about why it is that you're doing it. I know there are going to be moments where you're going to feel a little discouraged, but you can just sit down, give yourself a heart check, and kind of, ask yourself those questions like, why am I doing this? What's my purpose? That would be my first advice. The second advice is to just enjoy the climb. I don't know if I'm going to age myself here, but there's an old Miley Cyrus song that's called The Climb. And part of that song that she says is, it's not about how fast you get there or about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. So just enjoy the journey, enjoy the appearances that you're making, enjoy the friendships that you're going to be making, that, the people you're going to meet along the way, even, the moments where you're stumbling or falling, because these are the moments that you are going to remember. The moment that you get to that goal or to the eye, like, yeah, that's going to be awesome, but the journey to get there, that's what's going to like really, be impactful. Those are the kind of things that you're going to talk to your kids about or to your grandkids about. It's just the journey to the destination. My third advice would be to be intentional with your title. This one to me hits close to home because it is something that, as I am, a title holder, it is something that I'm personally learning myself. Mostly more because, not only my title holder, before that I'm a wife and I'm a mom, and I also do work full time. So I really do have to be intentional with my time. And that may look differently for everybody. It could be having a calendar and have your spouse sit and kind of build around that. You have to remember that before you were a queen, your most important thing is being a wife and a mom. So you have to create that plan, not around your title, but around your family, because first, more than anything, you are a wife and a mom. So be very intentional with your time. I can't remember, that's my third one, was it, or my fourth? I can't remember. The next one I would say after that is to make some time to do some work-ins. A lot of the times when we're competing in pageants, we focus on the practical things. We focus on walking, we focus on the interviewing, what we're going to wear, working out. But we also have to remember that this journey is not just a physical journey, but it's also a mentally and spiritual journey for some. And you have to take some time to work on yourself inwards. So that's why I like to call them work-ins instead of workouts. And that can look differently for everybody. It can be reading a book, it can be reading the Bible, it could be praying, it could be meditating, taking a bath, just anything that's going to fill your cup inwards. And last but not least, community. Just build community. The best thing that has come out of pageantry for me is the community, is the tribe, is the women that I have met along the way. Women like Crystal Cavey, Serena Ritter, Beatrice, Cindy. Oh my God, so many people that I can name right now. And that if it wasn't for this journey, I wouldn't have them in my life. So, don't focus so much on winning, even when you're at pageant weekend. Create those friendships, create those relationships, because those are the memories also that you're going to continue to build on. And when you have those moments that you're feeling discouraged or down, like, those are the people you can turn to. And I think those are my 5 tips.
And those were 5 amazing tips. I love how personal they were too. So thank you for that. There are a lot of your tips, like even Janice was saying, your tip number 3 is awesome. So regardless of what part of life you're in, because you did mention you're a wife and a mother first, and just hearing, we were talking about how my wedding is right before Galaxy International. So I'm like, whoa, okay, gotta take down notes. Like your tips really related to everyone, regardless of what part of life they're in or if they're even competing in pageants or not. So thank you for sharing those pageant tips.
Yes, thank you for letting me share them.
You're welcome. I love listening to everyone's tips, everyone's advice, because it's all different yet so relatable. You mentioned that you watched the show, and it was it something that helped you, I guess, in your preparation for Belleza Latina?
Oh yes, absolutely. I There were so many tips that I can't even think of them right now, but that's definitely my favorite segment of the show. So I definitely have my ears wide open whenever there was someone giving a tip, whether they competed in a pageant or not. I remember, I think when Scott was on the show, I even took some of his tips. Like it's nice because not only, like you said, it's not only something that you can apply in pageantry, but you can also apply it in your life.
100%. Well, Scott is watching, so he's probably like, yeah. Janice says, I've been following your faith journey, and it is as inspiring as your pageant journey.
Aww.
So can you tell us a little bit about your faith journey, if you don't mind?
Yeah. I am a Christian, and I'm a believer, and it is something since I was 15 years old that I've been on this journey. And I'm just very passionate about, everything that I do it. I do it for his glory and not for mine. I feel that my pageantry journey has very well intertwined with my faith journey, because a lot of the important things in pageantry are just as important in your faith journey. Serving the community, building relationships, putting others before yourself, being selfless. So that's what I feel also has drawn me into pageantry, because not only has it helped me, in my pageant life, but it's also helped me in my spiritual life. It's also helped me become a better version of myself, a better Christian.
I love that. So I come from a Catholic family, and I've never thought of how my faith and my pageant journey go hand in hand. But the way that you explained it, it makes so much sense. I love that. I love that. So if people wanted to learn more about yourself and follow your journey, where can people follow you online?
Yep, so you can follow me on Instagram. It's at Ms. MS Belleza Latina 2022, and Facebook, it's Catherine Cortes.
Love that. I'm going to add those to the description at the end of the show, so make sure you go ahead and follow her. Your reign has just begun, and I know that there's so much that you are going to do with your title, so I cannot wait. What I do want to ask you is my favorite thing about Galaxy and Belleza Latina, I will get it before the end of today's show, Belleza Latina pageants, is the fashion. I love how everyone's style comes out, and it's one thing that I was anticipating, because we had extra time because of lockdown. Yeah. What are people going to come up with? And your gown, let me tell you, I loved it. Where did you find inspiration for all of your outfits?
So my fashion wear, I actually wore it when I competed back in 2019, and it's actually a McDougall gown that we converted into my fashion wear. I was okay, how can we recycle this dress? So I found somebody that was able to convert it into a fashion wear. My evening gown, there's a story behind that. I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with the sleeves. I was like, this is different. But the gown didn't come in. I almost didn't even wear the gown. It didn't come in till maybe a week and a half before the pageant. And that was because I had to be on top of the designers. I was like, my event is coming up. I need my dress. And it came in, and by the grace of God, everything fit well, but it almost was a no-go.
Oh my gosh. Did you have backup just in case?
I did. I had my gown that I wore back in 2019. I was like, okay, well, if this doesn't work, then I'll just have to wear the same wardrobe I wore for 2019.
You know what? And that's okay. Yeah. It's okay to wear the same outfit. I wore the same fashion wear and swimsuit both in 2019 and 2020. Yeah. And if I could, I'd wear it again at internationals. But oh my gosh, I can't imagine how stressed you were. First your toe and then your evening gown.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the towards the end of like before getting to competition, things got a little bit stressful.
But sometimes, the world tests you to see how graceful you can be under pressure, and you killed it. You won. But the gown I loved. When I saw it on stage, I was like, ooh, she's matching everything. Like, you got the crown, you matched the sash. I was like, yes, girl, go for the gold. Literally, I loved it so much.
Thank you.
I loved it. So I guess you mentioned your daughter. If she were to compete, you'd be down. Like, you'd be so encouraging of her. What if, has she gone through your wardrobe and been like, Mommy, can I put this on? Or does she just say, oh, you look so pretty? Like, is she showing interest in pageants?
She's showing interest. My husband was telling me actually the day that I was competing, she was also watching all the little girls that were competing. And she was like, Daddy, I want to wear a dress like that. I want to do a pageant. So she is showing interest. So I definitely want to test out the waters, put her in a little pageant around here, kind of see how she does. Because, sometimes kids can be so like out there, but when they're put in a certain environment, they like kind of clam up a little bit. So I'm hoping that she doesn't do that. I'm hoping that she'll just continue to be herself.
Oh, I hope she does too. Are there a lot of pageants in Connecticut?
There's not that many. There's not around here. There is like a lady that has like a couple pageants a year in Connecticut, and her pageants are a little bit smaller. So I, maybe start off with something like that. But I'm actually in the process of doing a local little charity pageant. I'm teaming up with a organization that I work closely with. So we're thinking about doing a little charity pageant, and I'm thinking of maybe putting her in that too, just to see how she does.
Well, I can't wait to see how that turns out. I will be rooting for your daughter, and I'm sure it'll be a great event. I love that everyone has used this pandemic as a way to start their own little charity pageant. I know here, I don't know how it is there, but in Canada, I feel like there was a new virtual charity pageant every single day. So I love that. That is something that you are working towards.
Yes, I love it. I love that, as long as it's something that's going towards a cause or helping someone or something else, then I'm all for it.
Me too. So when you're not competing in pageants or doing appearances, what do you do on your free time?
So my family and I, we are big, and again, this was something that kind of slowed down because of COVID, but we're big like movie buffs. We love going to the movie theaters. We, at one year, there were so many movies that were coming out that year that we like bought a calendar just for that, so we can put every single movie that was coming out that year that we wanted to go see. So we love going to the movies, and anything outdoors, during the nice weather. We like to go hiking. We like to go and grab dinner every once in a while, and just any little events that we can find to do, just be out. But now that it's getting cold and COVID is still kind of a thing, we got to see what we're going to do this year.
Yeah, well, okay, speaking of COVID, what is it like in Connecticut right now?
I think things are actually getting pretty good. I know Connecticut is one of the states where the percentage of people who are vaccinated are higher. And I know that there's certain places where people can go and they don't have to wear a mask if they're vaccinated and stuff like that. But I think everyone is doing a good job at just kind of following protocols and social distancing and stuff like that.
That's good. It's so hard to keep up with what's going on in America because we usually only hear about New York or Florida or Texas. We don't hear about any of the other states, which is probably good then if we don't hear about you guys.
Yeah. No news is good news, right?
Exactly. Well, I'm glad that you and your family are able to do things now while it's still open and while the weather is cooperating. So during the pandemic, since you couldn't go to movies, were you all at home with Disney Plus and Netflix watching movies?
Yes, so we have Disney Plus, so we were able to watch some of those movies that premiered on Disney Plus there, and then we also have HBO Max. A lot of the movies were streaming on there as well, so we even bought ourselves a little popcorn machine so we can make our own popcorn at home and watch movies.
That's awesome. I love that. There's nothing better than fresh popcorn. I understand, microwavable popcorn, but having fresh popcorn, it's different.
Oh my God, yeah. Especially movie theater popcorn, it's like a guilty pleasure of mine. I can be like on a strict like food regimen, but if we're going to the movie theaters, I'm having my popcorn and I'm having it with loads of butter with my slushie on the side.
There you go. That sounds delicious. Janice McGregor in the chat says, speaking of your husband, so I guess this was a little bit earlier, I remember you talking about him in your 2018 intro video. It made me cry. He's a sweetheart. God bless you both.
Oh, thank you, Janice.
So you said you guys have been together for 17 years?
17 years in January. We're going to be together. Yeah.
That is so sweet.
Yeah, we started.
And you have... Sorry, go ahead.
We started dating his senior year in high school.
Oh, wow. So you guys have both grown up together.
Yeah.
I love that. So what was it like for him when you decided, I'm going to do a pageant?
He was just very supportive from the beginning. Because before I competed in pageants and stuff like that, I was very self-conscious with myself. Part of my story is that when I was a toddler, I got burned over 30% of my body. So doing stuff like this was never. Whoa. If you would have asked me like when I was a little girl that I would be, or would have told me that I was going to be the next, Belleza Latina International, I would have been like, you're joking. Like, not me. No. But he was very, very supportive from the very beginning.
Wow. I did not know that about you. So what was it like then, I guess, when you first stepped onto the pageant stage for the first time?
It was very nerve-wracking the first time. I remember I couldn't even like keep my smile open because that's how nervous I was. And I remember there was one of the volunteers that were like, just say hi, just keep saying hi, and like that's gonna help you open up your smile and stuff like that. But it was nervous. It's just nervous, just having all eyes on you. But I think, throughout my journey, I was able to just grow and learn to love myself and just be able to, I like to say that these scars, they're a part of my life, but they're not who I am as a person. I own them. They're, they say scars are like a story and, they're part of who you are, but they're not who I am. And when I share people my story, I tell them just that, yeah, this is something that happened to me, but it's not, who I am. I mean, it might have molded me into the person that I am today. I don't know what kind of person I would be if the incident didn't happen to me, but it's not just me. I'm just not the burnt girl. I'm more than that.
100%. I love that. Because there are people out there who have gone through different things in life, different traumas, different experiences. And I love that you said that it has molded you to who you are, but it doesn't define who you are.
Yes.
And I love that because I know for myself personally, I have eczema. So the scars that I have, I was so embarrassed of them growing up. I was that girl that wore, I think I told this story on the show once. I would put foundation on my legs when I would wear shorts. And that was the only way I'd wear shorts. And then one day I got caught in the rain. I was like, oh no, how embarrassing. So I think that moment was my wake-up call. Be like, you never know when you're gonna get caught in the rain. Just embrace your skin. So I think it's great that you share your story, you share your journey, and I'm sure there are a lot of girls. Because if I knew that as a young girl, I'd be like, oh wow, I could do it too then.
Yes. It's like that question, if you can tell your younger self something, just that would be it. Just enjoy your body and who you are and wear that two-piece bathing suit, because after you have kids, I don't know if you're going to want to wear the two-piece bathing suit anymore. That was
Noted. No kidding.
that was something actually when I was in Puerto Rico a few weeks ago with my father. He was telling my husband this story where, I wouldn't even want to wear like a bathing suit to the beach. I would always wear, just clothes that would cover my arms. Like I was just so self-conscious that one day, like just I don't know why he decided to do this one day, but he bought me a two-piece bathing suit and he was like, "This is what you're going to wear." And he told me that I ended up wearing one of his long white t-shirts to cover myself while I was at the beach. But eventually he said I got tired of the shirt and just took it off and I enjoyed
It's too
myself.
hot. Oh, I love that. It's interesting because most dads are like, no, you got to cover up. Your dad's like, no, take this two-piece and run with it.
Yeah.
I love that. So earlier you mentioned that Belleza Latina was one of the pageants that you really worked towards. That was your dream pageant, your dream title. You knew this was it. What is it about the system that you're like, this is the system that I want to represent?
From the first moment that I competed in the Connecticut Belleza Latina, it was just so very welcoming. It was definitely very, very family oriented. To this day, I still talk to the Connecticut directors. When I first started competing, I take photos at their kids' birthday parties like almost every year. So I'm still very much connected with them. And also the fact that Maria created a system that it didn't go by your status or, whether you were married or have kids or anything like that. It just went by your age. It just went by you as a person, because Maria and I also have a very similar story. Her and I became moms at a very young age. So some women, they think, after they have kids, like you can't really, oh, no, that's it, that's it for me. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, this and that. But this shows you that, you could be more than that. Your identity is not just being a mom or wife, like you also are your own person. And the Belleza Latina allows you to be that person regardless whether you have kids or don't have kids or are married or not married. So that was something that drew me into it. And also the family atmosphere, she treats us like if we were in her family. So
she really does. I love that I can just message her and she will reply back, and she's so warm about her responses.
Yes.
And sometimes it's intimidating. You're like, oh, she's the international director, but she's very warm. Like when I had her on the show, I just felt like I was talking to a best friend, someone that even my mom watched, and she's like, I really like Maria. Aww. I'm like, I think you two would get along.
Oh no, absolutely. And she could be a little intimidating sometimes because she's your typical Latina. She's very straightforward and she says what she feels and what she thinks, but she doesn't do it, in a bad way. She does it in like a loving and caring way. Yeah,
it's not a malicious way. I love that. I'm sure she's like, oh, you girls, while she's watching. So this year was actually the 20th year, and you've mentioned that you've been a part of the system for a while. What was it like, I guess, not only competing in the 20th edition of Belleza Latina? Oh my God, it's gonna come out. My brain like stops me. But what was it like, not only being a part of the 20th group, but also reflecting and seeing the women from past years there?
It was awesome. It was nice seeing, queens from the past being there. And it was, as much as I really wish, it was full-blown Galaxy and Belleza, but it was really nice too because it felt more intimate with us, with just the Belleza queens and the little Galaxy queens. But it felt more like that. It just felt very intimate this year. It was a very small group, but it was very intimate. We had such a good time, and just seeing how Maria spoke about this system and how she created it, and it was really nice.
Belleza. I heard you say it. I'm like, okay, that is how I'm going to say it. Okay. Sorry, you were talking, and I was like, she said it that specific way. I'm going to remember it. Belleza. Belleza. Okay. I think I'm thinking too hard about it. I think that's what it is. I read it differently, but I'm not going to read it anymore. No, but I think you're right. Having it intimate, having it more focused on Belleza Latina, I think that's honestly the best thing that could have happened. It was the 20th anniversary. There was a spotlight on the pageant itself, and it wasn't shared with Galaxy. So I think it all worked out in the end, really.
Yeah.
As Maria says, plus we have new crowns for BL's anniversary. Yes, it's stunning.
We do.
I love it. When you put it on, Maria, when she put it on, my jaw dropped. It's different. Like, when you see photos and then you see it visually through camera on video, it's so stunning. Let's show the audience one more time what it looks like. Oh. Okay, here's my question, and I think it's more for Maria. So I'm competing in Galaxy. I know you guys say for BL you need to have some sort of Hispanic gene in you. Filipinos have some sort of Spanish in us. Does that count? Can I compete if I don't win Galaxy? Like, I'm curious. We were colonized by the Spaniards. It's in our blood. Does that count? I will learn how to say the name if I can. I'm just curious. No, I love the crown. It's so pretty. And, once Galaxy is over, I'm like, now what do I do? Oh, she's laughing. She didn't give me a straight answer. I'll message you after, Maria. Well, okay, going back to Instagram questions because I can keep talking and keep messing up the pageant title. A question from Instagram is, that's Maria. She posted on Instagram. Another question from Instagram is, I don't know if you can hear the rain. I do apologize. It's raining here in Toronto. Sorry, I lost my questions. But okay, forget the questions from Instagram. What has it been like on your journey? You've coached with Crystal Cavey. You've competed in different pageants. What has it been like for you?
It's been hills and valleys, I would say. It's had its great moments. It also had moments of like Crystal says, if you don't cry at least once, then are you really competing in a pageant? So I had my moments, but overall, I would say it was an amazing experience, and I would do it all over again the same exact way. I wouldn't change anything at all.
Not even getting your gown shipped to you a little bit earlier?
No, because you know what? It all worked out at the end, so.
There you go. A question here. Actually, you kind of mentioned it. If you could compete again, would you do anything differently? The way that you prepared, your gown, things like that.
I mean, the only thing that I would say if I could do differently was if my toe wasn't broken, I definitely would have practiced that a lot more. But circumstances. But no, everything worked out the way that God intended it to. So.
I love that. Well, that's good to know. Janice had a question, but she retracted it, so never mind. So going back to Instagram questions, because I did find it, what made you interested in pageantry?
So it was more of a why not. I used to work out at an all-women's gym here locally, and one of the current, at the time, Connecticut Belleza Latina queens was working out there. And I got to conversating with her and talking to her about it, and I told her oh my God, this is awesome that you're doing it, And she was like, you should do it. And I was like, no, I'm too old, I have kids, I'm married, I can't do that, Miss USA, obviously after a certain age or having kids, you can't compete. So that's what we're all kind of new at the time. And she was like, oh no, not Belleza Latina. And then she told me all about the system, and I was like, okay, why not? And I honestly went in it the first time without any experience. Like all my dresses were borrowed. They weren't even like tailored to fit me. Like it was an experience. But even after all of that, I placed second runner up. I had an awesome time and I by the bug.
And here you
Yeah.
are. But I love that. I think it's very inspiring when I hear women and women come on the show and talk about how they started pageantry a little bit later on in life. But I love that you found a system that you love, that you found a system that embraces you regardless of what age you are in, what walk of life you're in. My godmother, who was the reason why I started competing in pageants, she did pageants and she modeled in the Philippines, and she just got back into it 20 years later. So I just love that you found a system for you. I had another question, but I lost it now, but that's okay. I need to stop looking at these questions. They're distracting me because I'm like, I want to ask her, but I don't. I do and I don't. But no, I just think it's really inspiring. So if there are women who are watching, or men who are watching our show today, who are on the fence, they're like, you know what, I kind of want to, but I don't because I am a mom, I am a wife, I'm over the age of 27. What would you say to them?
I would just say to go for it. Just do it. What are you going to regret more, doing it or not doing it? It's just one of those things in life where, we regret what we don't do. And if you're thinking about it, then do it. It's
I love
definitely going to
that.
be an unforgettable experience, an unforgettable ride. You're going to meet amazing people, and it's just going to be something, again, that when you're older, you can always talk to your kids about, or your grandkids, your great grandkids, if you're lucky enough to see great grandkids.
I love that. But what if they had, say, an unsupportive community with like, no, you can't do it? Like, what would you tell them?
I would say to find yourself a community that is going to be supportive. Because, not everyone in your immediate circle is going to support you. We all have those people around you that are naysayers or haters or whatever you want to call them. But that's where you find people who are supportive and who have the same vision that you do, because that's what's going to get you through, not the people who don't support you.
I love that. And on that note, I'm going to leave it there. I think, I love hearing people's stories and I love hearing people's advice. And I'm sure there are women out there who are on the fence, who want to do it, but sometimes when it could be because they're moms, they're married, they're teen moms, and they think I can't do it anymore, or they don't have the support. I know that there have been a lot of girls that I've talked to who are like, I want to do it, but I don't know if people will support me. So I'm going to leave it at that. For those who are questioning it, rewind this afterwards and listen to exactly what Catherine said.
And if you want, you can reach out to me. I'll be your number one supporter. So
There you go. Well, Catherine, thank you again so much for joining us today. One last time, if people do want to reach out to you to have another supporter, where can they find you?
yes, you can find me on Instagram at Ms. MS Belleza Latina 2022 and on Facebook, Catherine Cortes.
Perfect. So again, Catherine, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Hopefully one day I'll get to meet you, hopefully before internationals.
Yes.
And hopefully I'll get to see your daughter's journey in pageantry, and I cannot wait to see what you do with your reign, because you're already killing it and it's only been a few months.
Thank you. And yes, I cannot wait to see you and all of Team Canada at Nationals. And hey, I mean, if there's someone in Canada who wants to compete at Belleza Latina, and I don't think there's ever been a Canada Belleza Latina before. So message me. I would love to have someone from, you guys bring somebody from Team Canada to Belleza Latina.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I know we were really close one year, so hopefully, they're watching, they listen, they join.
Yes.
So again, thank you so much, Catherine. You have been an amazing guest, and I cannot wait to see what you do with your title as Ms. Belleza Latina International 2022. everyone else, if you enjoyed today's episode, if you enjoyed listening to me struggle, please give this video a thumbs up. If you enjoy all things pageantry, make sure you subscribe to this channel, as I do go live every Wednesday for the Pageant Sit Down. Again, Catherine, thank you so much for joining me this evening. I cannot wait to see you next July. But everyone else, I'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.